Is there a sports podcast in Detroit that people are talking about?
This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, this is Freddie Cohen of ESPN Radio. When I'm not talking about breaking news or breaking news on ESPN Radio, I'm always a fan and listen to the Detroit Sports Podcast, and so should you.
You guys keep up the good work, man. Podcasts are the way of the future.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thank you for downloading another episode of the DocNJock podcast. I am the Doc, John McAroon. Joining me, my cousin, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. What's up, cuz? Happy Thanksgiving.
Gobble, gobble, bitches. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hopefully you like this show. Hopefully you downloaded. We're going to be talking Lions. A lot of college football. This is great, man. This is hate week. I love this week. I hate Ohio State. I hope the horseshoe burns. No Michigan people in there at all. Just Ohio State people.
Finally, the culmination of the season for Michigan. They've won 10 straight. It was great, too, because of the intrigue prior. I can't wait to talk about Michigan. And we have a great guest coming in, too. We'll tease it a little bit. Someone's going to call in, a friend of the show. He wants to break down the Michigan. He wants to break down the way in which the playoff is shaken out and the way in which another conference is handling their scheduling. So we got a lot to get to.
He called me on Saturday after the Michigan game, and he was so jacked up. He was like running like 1,000,000 miles a minute, just firing topics off. And I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, you know what? How about we do this? How about we just bring you on the show when we go to record, and we'll put it out there on Thursday. You want to do that? Can we do that? And he was like, can we do that? And I was like, yeah, can we do that? Like, he was like, no, can we do that? I was like, yeah, dude, we can do that. Do you have time? Can we do this? And he was like, yeah, I'm in 100%. Dude, he wants to talk about so much stuff.
The intrigue was there because Ohio State could have lost to Maryland, and that would have been interesting had Michigan already qualified for Indy going into the contest. But now everything's on the line, and that's the way it should be for a Michigan-Ohio State game. And we'll talk about that in the second half of the podcast. First half of the podcast, obviously we want to talk about the Detroit Lions. Post-Snowgate, Matt Patricia got over. The Lions were able to get the victory. But I think the way in which those that are taking a critical look at it will say Carolina lost the game as opposed to the Lions winning the game because the Lions were beaten, battered, broken. Basically, it was Stafford throwing it to Galladay by the end of the game, and that was about it.
That was it.
And they still were able to get the victory.
Ellington caught like 9 passes too, but they were 3-yard passes. I don't know what you want.
Exactly.
I don't know what to tell you.
Galladay took over the game, and Stafford was able to find him. But in the end, I just think that, and what I tweeted out was, man, when you look at coaching, it's such a fickle position, and there's not that many people that do it. But some of the coaching decisions that take place are just so stupid, so fucking dumb. Because if you just look at it contextually, the way that game went, Carolina had all the momentum. You go down, you score. You kick the extra point, go to overtime. Yeah, let's say that the Lions go out and they win the coin toss. You just don't. All you have to do is not give up a touchdown.
That's it.
You get a chance to then go back, and you got momentum. Cam Newton's moving the ball. You're starting to get, everybody, and Moore was catching balls left and right. I feel like if they went to overtime, everybody would have bet that Carolina would have walked out of that game with the victory. But in the end, look, if a team's going to overlook you and play bad and make mistakes with missed kicks and field goals and extra points, and they don't take you seriously, that's fine. I'm not one of those people that's like, well, you ruined your draft slot and things like that. I just say, look, you got to build a program. The Lions have to kind of silence the noise because it was ratcheting up to the point where nationally people were taking shots at Patricia again. You had everybody really being hypercritical of the practice in the snow. Everybody was jumping off the bandwagon. You silenced the noise for a couple days, and now you have a chance today to maybe even play a backup quarterback in Chase Daniels with the Chicago Bears and get another victory. Look, prior to the season, everybody said 7 wins, 8 wins, and that's probably where it's going to shake out. It has been, and it'll always be Bob Quinn's ability to bring in talent that's going to be evaluated. Matt Patricia can do the job. He can learn, and you probably can assume he can put together a team that can do some things. The question mark is, can you bring in enough talent to compete with the league, because when you start watching the top 4 teams in the NFL, the Lions are like 10 miles way behind. And, I don't know if we can wait 4 years to catch up with talent that's going to develop, because you got to remember, there are teams now like the Saints, Rams, and Kansas City Chiefs. They're poised to win for the next couple years. And you got to get to the point where you get to the playoffs. So you're behind the 8 ball, but it's nice at least to see a competitive victory, play well, and at least start to identify a couple people that are going to come back. But again, what happens? The Lions curse hits. Kerryon Johnson was becoming a stud. You were ranting and raving on Twitter how awesome he was looking.
Grown-ass man.
Knee sprain. And thankfully it's not an ACL, but again, it just seems like anytime the Lions pick a player that has an injury problem, he gets injured that same season.
Yeah, well, this was different. It was when he got tackled, it looks like he went down really, really hard on his one knee, and that's the problem knee now. The big issue going forward is how does this team try to fill and make up for what will be missing with Kerryon Johnson on the sideline? Because I don't think a guy like Theo Riddick's going to be able to do it for you. I don't think you have a back on this team that's going to be able to do it for you. On top of that, you're dealing with injuries up and down your offensive line, and you're dealing with injuries in your wide receiving core. So how do you generate this production? What do you have to do to be able to get those yards, get those touchdowns, to be able to go out there and help win games? I'm not sure how you do it, because I don't think Ellington's going to be the guy to really give you the necessary yardage that you're looking for. I don't think Theo Riddick's going to be able to be the guy to carry the ball. In this case, Kerryon Johnson toted the rock before he got hurt 17 times. This was a game where he was tracking towards 20, maybe 22 carries, which is what we've all been screaming for. We've all been beating the drum for it. And finally, Matt Patricia, I don't know if you heard us, or I don't know if Matt Patricia just figured it out, looked and was like, oh, hey, best player on my team, I should probably get the ball in his hands more. Yeah, you think, Coach? You think? I mean, I'm just saying, do you think? Maybe. But Kerryon Johnson on Sunday looked like a grown-ass man, and he helped this team get that victory. Now, the one thing I can take out of that game on Sunday, mind you, I don't necessarily think the Lions won that game. I think they did enough to win the game. I think a lot has to do with what happened with Carolina. Riverboat Ron going all apocalypse
gambling
now. Yeah, just, hey guys, guess what? We're going to go for it here. Why? The offense couldn't move the ball once Kerryon Johnson went down.
But if you look at the way that play developed, it was interesting in that
the guy was wide open. It looked just like the Maryland play. The Maryland OSU game. Cam Newton just had to just lay the ball in there, and he ends up overthrowing the wide receiver. Okay, cool. So did Carolina choke this game away? Yeah, I think a little bit. I really do. There's a game within a game, and I think Ron Rivera misread what was going on, because the Lions struggled to move the ball on Carolina once Kerryon Johnson went down. Like you said, the only hope was Kenny Golladay. That was it. That was the only guy who could help get the ball down the field. So what? You lose the coin toss. Like you said, big deal. What do you got to do? You stop them from making a touchdown. That's all you have to do. Just stop them from making a touchdown. They go down and they kick a field goal. Okay, cool. At this point in the game, Carolina had found its groove. Stella got her groove back. The offensive line was protecting for Cam, all right? And they were able to throw the ball because DJ Moore was unstoppable. DJ Moore was you couldn't cover him. Darius Slay had such a hard time covering him all game long. DJ Moore looks like the second coming of Michael Thomas right now, just a foot shorter maybe. So you have guys who can make big plays, get the ball in their hands. That's what we've been screaming about for Matt Patricia. Get the ball in Kerryon Johnson's hand. Watch what happens. When he went down, this team struggled. So going into this game today, you need to be concerned. You have to be concerned, because I don't know how you generate what he was able to do for you. And it's not going to be one guy. It can't just be Theo Riddick. You've seen what Theo Riddick gives you. You watched it on Sunday. It's not enough. Who? Bruce Ellington? He's not going to give you enough either. It can't just be Kenny Golladay. It can't. You don't have enough talent on this team right now, and I think that's a big part of the problem with this team. And that's why when people talk about tanking, I get it. I understand. I know why you want to tank. I totally understand where you're at. You need to add more pieces. You need better pieces. You need good pieces. And when you tank, you give yourself the best shot at getting those best pieces.
But here's the problem.
I don't know where this team goes now.
So here's the problem with that is that basically Carolina gave you the game. How do you try and lose? Because basically the Lions did everything they could to give the game, away themselves. So it was kind of a weird game in that the Lions were going back and forth. They were trying to come back. They made plays late. And in the end, if a team like Carolina is not going to perform well, how do you just what do you try and do? Do you just run the ball? They just tried their absolute best, and they only scored 20. It wasn't like they were scoring a bunch of points. And in the end, Carolina just didn't do the job, and that's just what happens. And it's tough, but the way I look at it is I do think in a year or two, these leagues got to do something about the way in which the draft is set up, because you can't reward a team for losing, and that's what the talk has become, in that this is the structure. I get it, in that in this structure, it would behoove the Lions to lose a bunch of games going forward, but I do think in the NBA, the NFL, you got to make it so that if you don't make the playoffs, everybody has an equal chance to get the first pick, and that's how you do it, is that you got, everybody gets 5 balls, and whatever comes out, because rewarding teams for losing just isn't the American way, and it just makes it so that...
Oh, you made this nationalistic.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving.
What are we talking about here?
No, we're talking about this, is that now what happens is that it takes the joy out of sports in whenever a team, after 9 weeks, the Lions are 3-6, now you got half of the fans that are just check out, let's just lose. And that's ridiculous, in that you now see a team in Oakland doing it, they're probably going to get some good talent, and they're going to get rewarded for going out there and selling a great player, dismissing an entire year, and I just don't like to see teams get rewarded for that. And then because I just sat and I enjoyed the contest between the Pistons and the Cavs, and the Cavs put out a lineup that was just awful. The Pistons got up to a 30-point lead, and you go, oh my gosh, they're gonna lose for Zion.
Yeah, well, that whole team was built around
LeBron,
and LeBron was
but that roster that was put out on Monday for the Cavs was atrocious.
I understand,
and they're tanking. That's obvious. It's straight up obvious. The Cavs and the Raiders are tanking. It's not fair, because I don't want to talk about the Lions tanking, but in the landscape in which the sports world is, this is the way it's going to happen. And here's the thing now. Today, the Lions are taking on the Bears, and one of their guys might be hurt. Are you okay with the Lions maybe putting together a little bit of a run, getting back to 500 or close to it, and finishing out the year 8-8? Or do you maybe say you understand why the tankers go, wow, you know what, just finishing out the year with 4 wins, maybe getting the 3rd or 4th pick could really help get a quality defender, or maybe someone else on the offense to help the Lions?
I don't want to scream for tanking, because I don't really like tanking all that much. I understand why you do it, and I get it, but I don't think in the end it really behooves you to tank. It doesn't do anything for your fan base. It does nothing for your team. I mean, you got to realize these guys still have to go out there and they still have to play the game. The thing about the Lions going on a little bit of a stretch here in winning games, because I think they're going to win today. I think they beat the Bears, especially if Mitch doesn't play. If Trubisky doesn't play, I think this bodes very, very well for the Detroit Lions. And we won't know until game time.
Chase Daniels has only thrown 78 passes in his career and made over $30 million as a backup.
Yeah.
Nice life, huh?
Yeah, for sure.
Him and Drew Stanton got some things going on, man.
If you happen to have, this is a little fantasy advice, if you happen to have Jordan Howard or Tariq Cohen, play them a lot.
Yeah.
Start them. If you have them, start both of them. Do it now. But if Trubisky doesn't play, I think this bodes well for the Lions. I think the Lions can win this game because they're without their starting quarterback. Yeah, you're without your starting running back, and you're without one of your starting wide receivers. But I think you have a great shot because they're with their head man in their play caller as QB. That defense is elite. That defense is very good. Best defense in the NFL right now. So Matt Stafford and the guys on offense are going to have a little bit of a tough road to go. But I think the Lions defense could put enough pressure on whoever. If it's Chase Daniels, they can put enough pressure on him. If it's Mitch Trubisky, depending on how hurt he is and how banged up he is, I don't know how effective he's going to be in the pass game, which is a real question here. So I think they can win this game. I also think, looking at the schedule, I'm going to say this right now, there's that Rams game.
They're going to lose. They're going to lose.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay, listen to this, all right? Rams haven't had to travel anywhere this year.
Right.
The only time they cross the Mississippi is when they come to play the Lions.
Right.
Okay? Understand that.
Wow.
So they don't actually go to the East Coast ever this season, and they're the furthest they go east is the northern east in Detroit. That's it, bro. So when they did have to travel, they traveled to New Orleans. Now, I think New Orleans is probably the best team in the NFL right now. They have the ability to score points almost at will, and that defense is getting better. I know forever and a day we crushed New Orleans defense, but it's getting better every single week. Go watch some game film. They're getting better every single week. They might pop the Rams. Rams, it's a day game too. It's not a night game. It hasn't been flexed to a 4 o'clock or even an 8 o'clock start. So it is a 1 o'clock start right now when we're talking about this. So that's like, 9 o'clock their time? You have the time change you have to account for, because a lot of times teams that go to the East or go to the West Coast don't play well because of their body clock being off. It messes up your routine, messes up your rhythm. On top of that, they have not traveled well this season. They've only left the state of California, I think, like once, maybe twice. It's absolutely bananas. They will only cross the Mississippi River one time, and that's to come to Detroit. There's a great shot Detroit wins that game.
Chance.
There's a great shot. No, legitimately. Think about it. There's a legit shot that they win that game. On top of that, the defense for the Detroit Lions, everybody says we're super negative on this podcast, and we are. We're negative because we just take what we see and we talk about it, right? This is a very reactionary business. What we do is very reactionary. It's sports. You can't foreshadow what's going to happen. You can only talk about what just happened and then try to predict the future. And a lot of times we predict doom and gloom, all right? We're not Nostradamus. It's just the way it works out. Just how it is. If you watch, I don't even know where the hell I was going. I just lost my train of thought. Damn it! I had a good point I wanted to make. Oh, it was a good point. That's what I wanted to talk about. The Detroit Lions defense, it's getting better. Their run defense is getting better. Mind you, their best defensive player was just brought here a couple weeks ago in Snacks Harrison, but their run defense is getting better. So, look, everybody talks about Todd Gurley, and Todd Gurley's great. Todd Gurley's amazing. Honestly, he is. He just rolled his ankle. There was a reason he underperformed in that game against the Chiefs, and there was a reason he wasn't utilized more. It's because he's dealing with now an ankle injury. Ankle injuries are real iffy, and they're real touch and go. If it's a high ankle sprain, good luck. If it's a low ankle sprain, you can usually tape it up and go, but still, it's going to be bothersome.
Here's the problem I
it's
see.
Setting up, man.
Here's the problem.
Is setting up.
Yeah, here's the problem I see with the Lions, and I talked about it as I was watching. And I talked about it as I was watching the Rams and the Chiefs. I said, wow, there was a chance the Lions could have brought Sean McVay here, because that was a year Jim Caldwell, played the Seahawks, go on the road. They don't do nothing on offense. They just, there was a lot of drops, a lot of mistakes. The Lions didn't look that great in that postseason game, and you kept him. You retained him for another season to go 9-7 and not make the postseason. That year, 2017, is when Sean McVay's hired by the Rams. And look, Jared Goff was talked about being a bust, and everybody thought, oh, Jeff Fisher, can't believe you thought of this guy and traded up and made all this effort to go out and get Jared Goff. Now you bring in Sean McVay, this offensive wizard, and that team looks like an amazing team that can't be stopped. And you look at the Lions and you go, man, they got a defensive coach. And you just look at it and you go, the league right now is a league it's all offense. And you go, it's not fair, really.
That's what the Lions do, though.
It's not fair, right? And that's the part that's so frustrating is you look at it and you go, what is Matt Patricia doing? What's the nature of this team going to be? Because how is he going to then go and pick up offensive weapons when the team needs now? Because I asked on Twitter, what's this team's needs? Secondary, another defensive lineman, linebacker.
You need 2 defensive linemen.
Yeah, corners, safeties.
2 DNs
you need
specifically.
You basically got to retool that whole defense.
The whole defense.
Because you're going to lose some players next year.
This is what's most frustrating.
It's tough.
Look at what Matt Nagy is doing in Chicago with a quarterback like Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah.
Like, for everybody who hates Matt Stafford, look at what Mitch Trubisky's doing this year, right? Look at what he's doing. If I told you Mitch Trubisky would have better numbers than Matt Stafford at this point right now in the season, you tell me I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Right? Especially after what Trubisky did last year.
Go out and get a wizard for Stafford. You need, because he's right there. It's like he's right there clinging for hope and life and success in the NFL.
Not even for Stafford. Don't do it for Stafford. Do it for the damn team. Look at what Chicago is doing this year. Matt Nagy's an offensive coach. He's an offensive guy. He helped put Mitch Trubisky in a solid spot where he's able to perform, and he's probably performing in over his head right now. He's probably hitting highs that he might not hit again. We're not really sure. I have no idea what Mitch Trubisky is going to be as a quarterback. I heard some people say he's going to be like Jay Cutler. I heard other people say he's going to be a good game manager. I had other people say he might be an elite quarterback, and then those people I just look at like you're freaking crazy. But I have no idea what Mitch Trubisky is going to be. Only time will tell. But if you look at what he's done with that run game, all right, utilize a 2-headed monster with Tariq Cohen and Jordan Howard. That offensive line is much improved. The wide receivers, who's their main wide receiver? Who are those guys? They're just a bunch of dudes. We know Allen Robinson because he played at Orchard Lake St. Mary's. All right, that's why you know Allen Robinson. That's pretty much it. That and he played at Penn State. All right, guys? I mean, who else? Who are we talking about? Anthony Miller? Who the hell was Anthony Miller? I'll give you time. Go ahead, Google it. Because you don't know. Nobody knows. Trey Burton was the second tight end in Philadelphia last year, the number 2 guy. And then you look at that defense. This is an offensive coach who has the most dominant defense in the league. And yeah, Khalil Mack is a big part of that, but he's an offensive guy who is able to work within what he does best, and he's able to delegate what he doesn't know. And on top of that, that defense performs out of its mind. It's amazing. Compare the two teams. I mean, these are guys who are in their first years.
So today, are you doing the WDFN tailgate and going to watch the Lions game from the press box?
Not going to the press box because our game we're doing the tailgate. Tailgate's going to be on from 11 a.m. till noon. So there'd be I wouldn't get down there until probably midway of the second quarter. So not worth it to me to go. I'm going to go home, watch it there, have some turkey, and just be fat and merry. But yeah, tune in to WDFN tailgate, 11 to noon. That's what we're doing.
Yeah,
it's a very special WDFN tailgate. And then we'll be back this Sunday to break down whatever the hell happened on Thursday.
So I'll ask, what are you thankful for?
Maybe a special guest on Saturday or Sunday.
What do you think you're thankful for the Detroit Lions in terms of football? Thankful for Kerryon Johnson.
Kerryon Johnson.
Not torn ACL. Thank goodness for that.
Thankful for Kerryon Johnson and for Kenny Galladay. Can we talk about Kenny Galladay for a quick second?
Becoming a beast.
Kenny Galladay is everything that you wanted him to be and more right now. He is so young, so talented. I don't think Kenny Galladay knows how good he's going to be. But he makes plays right now where you're like, damn, that's Calvin Johnson-esque. You know? Like, holy cow. And I'm not comparing him to Calvin Johnson. I'm just saying just some of the similar highlight reel type plays where you're like, geez, that's awesome. I think he's like a faster Calvin Johnson. I really do believe that. He looks like he's going to be good for years to come. You have your number 1 wide receiver. You went out and you brought in Marvin Jones. Marvin Jones is a nice player. He's not your number 1 guy. It's Kenny Galladay.
So official prediction, Lions, Bears today. Who you got winning?
If Trubisky doesn't play, all right, ifs and buts, candy and nuts. If Trubisky doesn't play, Lions win 23-21. If Trubisky plays, 24-21 Chicago.
So Trubisky is the key. He's in, they win. Yep. He's out, they lose. Yep. Gobble, gobble, motherfuckers. I think it's Lions victory no matter what. They're going to play well. They're going to handle their business no matter what. Yeah, give me a score along the lines of 24-17. It's a good game in which the quick turnaround will help the Detroit Lions. They've been through this. They get up nationally for this game. They're going to want to perform and handle their business on Thanksgiving. They move their record to 5-6, and then we all can sit back and see what the elite looks like when they face the Rams next week. So give me a Lions victory. Move the needle to 5-6, and let's handle our business and have a good turkey day. Get a lot of food, drink a lot of beer, and have a good old time, man. That's what Thanksgiving's about.
That's right. Gobble, gobble, mofos.
All right, stay with us. Right after the break, we'll have a special guest on. We'll talk about it. Big game this Saturday. I got it off. It's going to be a great time to go to the bar, 11:30 a.m., knock back a few beers, cheer for Ohio State, cheer for Michigan, see what happens. I'm just hoping for a great game.
You're not cheering for Michigan.
Actually, I'm not going to cheer for Michigan, but I'm going to hope for a great game. So Michigan has to perform well to make it a great game, and I hope that they have an opportunity to make their dreams because in the end, like I told my friend, it's win-win. If it's a great Michigan victory, then it's a party and it's a fun day, and if it's not, then a little bit of like, because maybe I'll do a little video of their empty case of no success. So it's win-win for me.
I like how you point to Vito when you say that.
Exactly.
Poor Vito. He's got to do how many shows with you?
2.
Oh, man.
And more.
Jesus.
It's not that bad. Maybe we'll bring him on.
Vito needs a raise.
Oh, God, don't say that.
Vito's got like 8 raises this year, but he needs another.
He's only asked for 20, so it's okay. All right, stay with us. Doc and Jock rolls along. I want to tell everybody about our great sponsor, the Motor City Pawn Brokers. The Motor City Pawn Brokers are the one-stop pawn shop when you're in need of short-term cash or are looking for quality, brand-name new and pre-owned merchandise. With locations in Detroit, Ferndale, Roseville, and Warren, their mission is to deliver exceptional value. Go check out MotorCityPawnBrokers.com. Because This is the biggest game since 2006, Michigan-Ohio State. And you're sitting there, feet up, feeling good. You have no worries. You said on the radio that Michigan fans should not have any panic, no worries.
Nope.
They're going to handle their business, and it's all good. And I respect that attitude, but don't you think just being on the road, the fact that Ohio State has owned Michigan for the better part of a decade shouldn't give you any concern?
So Ohio State owning Michigan for the better part of a decade, whatever. Okay, throw it out the window. They're records. They don't count when you play this game right now. All right, I don't care about that. The thing that does have me concerned, playing on the road in the Horseshoe. All right, and the reason it has me concerned, it all has to do with Michigan. It has nothing to do with Ohio State. Michigan under Jim Harbaugh generally struggles when they go on the road. They're not a great team. They're like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers at home, great team. Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, not so good. That's what Michigan usually is. All right, they usually struggle. Go back to that Northwestern game. I know Ryan Field's a tough place to play. I get it. I understand. But they look like absolute dog crap for the better part of the first half going into the third quarter. Not good. They end up figuring it out. We're able to pull out a win there, which is awesome. But this team generally does not travel well on the road, especially in this hostile environment like the Horseshoe. On top of that, I usually don't like the way Jim Harbaugh coaches in tight games. I think Jim Harbaugh usually hurts his team. I think he usually puts them in a bad spot. Go back to the Michigan State game in the torrential downpour. All of a sudden it starts raining and Jim Harbaugh thinks it's a great idea to start throwing the ball. Mind you, you were running the ball all day long down Michigan State's throat, but now you want to start throwing it in a monsoon. Good job, guy. Good job. Real smart. You look at the last game against Ohio State when was last year was the spot game, right? If I remember correctly, it was a really good game. Michigan for the most part was hanging in there. If you go back and if I remember correctly, I think at halftime, weren't they leading at halftime? And then all of a sudden, second half rolls around, and it's kind of a different story, and you have to leave it up to the referee's judgment on a spot call. And then you can challenge it if you want, but good luck. Good luck. It's just Jim Harbaugh ends up tightening up a little bit in big games. I need him to be loose, Jim Harbaugh. I need him to go out there and just kind of lay it all on the line. The one thing that I'm looking forward to, I think you're going to see them open the playbook up for Shea Patterson. I think they open the playbook up for Shea Patterson. I think you get to see a lot more of that read option. He's incredible when he gets the ball in space, and he does a great job with some misdirection and reading what's going on with the defense. And Ohio State's defense is not good. They struggle in the run game. I think Karan Higdon's going to have a big game, a massive game. Karan Higdon, the guy who has come out and basically said they're going to win this game, right? Do we know which reporter basically put words in his mouth and led him down?
Yeah, Larry Lage.
Was it Larry Lage?
Yep.
Good job, Larry. Good job.
He might come on next week. He might come on.
I think isn't Larry a Michigan guy? Like, did he go to the U of M?
Yeah, I think so.
So, just not cool, man. Like, I like Larry. I think Larry does a great job. Not cool. Like, you don't have to do that. Like, that's not needed. Like, it really isn't. I think that's bad journalism. I think it's bad. It's not good.
Check out our thoughts on Two Bad Hombres. Vito and I also delved into that topic, and I reached out to Larry, and he's open to having a conversation next week, and we'll have an opportunity to talk to him about that. But I say it's great. Guarantee galore.
Of course you do.
I think it's great. There's no problem in having a guarantee.
Can you turn Vito's mic on?
No, keep him down. Let him keep doing his production.
Vito, what do you think about that? Hold on. Let's get Vito's mic turned on here.
Oh man, it might not ever have the rest of the show.
What was the question again, please?
What do you think about what Larry Lage did with Karan Higdon?
Well, I said on Two Bad Hombres, so tune into that, please. Mm-hmm. That's my take right there.
That's it.
No,
that's
I'm going to say that.
Selling?
You know what?
Tune in Two Bad Hombres every Saturday.
Every single Saturday.
It's
Remember
awesome.
that too on the DSP network.
Awesome.
Thank you for that plug there yourself,
for sure.
Adam. But anyways, my answer pretty much was Karan could have avoided it too.
He could have.
It's on the player. He's a mature adult. I mean, I don't know, that sounds silly coming from me, but he's a mature adult. He's only a couple years younger than me. But he is. Okay, a respectable dude who's been on this podcast, a one-on-one podcast with Doc, and he could have avoided the question, right? And just said, we're worried about our performance. We'll let our performance speak for itself, and then we'll celebrate when we, not bring that up, but we'll worry about that after the game. If we win, then we'll celebrate, and that kind of thing. He could have just said that, too. That's how I view it.
I totally agree with you on that. Like, he is an adult, and he should have been smarter. But at the same time, I just feel like when you're put on the spot like that, it's like sometimes it's just easier to say, yeah, like, okay, yeah, cool. Do you know what I'm saying? Instead of just thinking it out and just avoiding the entire situation. But I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I just think Larry needs to be better. I don't think that's a good job by him.
Well, a little bit leading, yeah, but you know what? Everybody's looking for clicks, and guess what? As a podcast, too, especially I think as a podcast network here, we're looking for that, right? Those noteworthy quotes and sound bites out of these guys, so...
Where are you guys watching the game? How are you taking it in? I know I'll be at a bar. I'll be having a good time. I'll be tweeting.
Which bar are you going to?
Tap and Barrel, great sponsor of the network.
It's a great sponsor. You guys should go. Check out Tap and Barrel. I'm going to be at Art and Jake's.
Art and Jake's. You love Art and Jake's? I've been there, in the past for softball.
Here's the thing. I usually get all hammered there. I take my pants off and they don't throw me out.
Good.
And I talk a lot.
Well, now I know where I can go.
Yeah, I talk
even more.
I talk a lot of shit to the waitresses all the time. Did I ever tell you guys a story about how they asked me to leave once? Like, oh, this is a great story. Absolutely great story. So I got hammered and out of my mind drunk. And the one bartender, Shelby, if you're listening, you're awesome. I love Shelby. Anyways, I told Shelby, because I'm into butt stuff, like I'll play with your booty all day. I offered to give her a rim job. Like, why not?
I think you did tell the story, but it was funny. We died. I died laughing.
Like, I mean, I would like... I would take a spoon and go to the butt buffet.
It was a kind, considerate offer. Well, very nice of you. Very nice gentleman offer.
Yeah, for sure. So then I took my glass and I basically showed her how I would lick her beehole with my glass. And then after that, they were like...
And then you almost got kicked out?
Yeah, they're like, Adam, you're probably going to have to go. Mind you, I did this in front of a whole bar. Like, the whole bar was packed. And I'm loud. And when I'm drunk, it's like 10 times louder.
I think Vito's going to be working the game, or working...
I can't even. You know what? I'll be working another game, the D1 State Final. Chippewa and Clarkson should be a really good final to watch at Ford Field. So I'll be inside the warm confines of Ford Field, too, which I'm looking forward to.
Vito, you're Mr. Michigan. Don't you think you should just maybe... figure out a way not to watch that and watch the real game?
I wish I could get out of it. Honestly, I know there are some people that will be there at Ford Field in a suite watching both. How beautiful would that be? If I didn't have to really work the game and could just be there as a fan at that Chippewa game, you could be in a suite. And I know somebody from my work at Top Cat is actually doing that. Great idea, right?
Oh, man,
that'd be amazing.
Best of both worlds. Like if you have a tie to Chippewa Valley, a kid there, you went to school, you want to be there, and then you can watch Michigan if you're a huge Michigan fan, which a lot of people I think will be trying to watch in Ford Field because a lot of fans will be there at Ford Field watching that D1 State Final too.
So do you guys think Jim Harbaugh can recover if they just don't happen to win the game?
Well, that's a good question.
This is hyped up. I mean, everybody's talking about it.
Like, recover how? Are you talking about, like, recover as in, like get the program back on track, or, like, it's going to fall off track? I don't think it's going to fall off the track, if that's what you're asking. I think he will be fine. I think if he loses with this team, it's going to be devastating. It will be devastating for not just him, but for the program and for all of those players. Because this, right now, it seems like it's a season of destiny.
Okay, let's ask Mike. He's on the line. He's desperate to chomp at the bit to talk about Michigan football. Putty, what up? You heard my question. I know you're excited to talk about it. What are your thoughts right now? It's hate week. I know you got a lot of them, but answer the question first. Could you handle, you personally, if Michigan doesn't deliver the goods? Because I know you're all excited. You're all waiting and chopping at the bit for Michigan to kind of seek some revenge on Ohio State.
I mean, for us, of course it's going to be, but in the big picture of things, I mean, realistically, no. I mean, look how far they've come in just a matter of what? This is Harbaugh's fourth year. I don't think it's devastating. It'll be more devastating to us in the image of them, but look where this team's going. Look at the class coming in next year. It's not devastating at all. It's going to hurt, but it's not going to be the end-all, be-all by any means.
Okay, it's interesting. How are you going to watch the game, Putty?
We are actually in the car now. We're headed to Fort Benning. I finally get to see my kid. He's graduating basic training tomorrow, so we are going to be at a Buffalo Wild Wings with him and a buddy of his family who's also making the trip. They're also from Michigan, so we're going to watch it with some pretty hungry Wolverine fans, that's for sure. And I can't wait. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch for us.
Yeah, now I want to take it in this direction because I think a lot of people are talking about it. People are discussing, let's say, Michigan does handle their business and they do win. There is a little bit of concern. There's concern that should Georgia handle their business and defeat Alabama, that they could rise up and take the spot of Michigan. And I know people have concerns regarding scheduling, the way in which the Big Ten and the SEC schedule. You had some thoughts about it, and you seem to be pretty fired up. You're pretty mad at the fact that, some teams, some clubs are benefiting from scheduling cupcakes a la Alabama.
Well, first, I think you're right. And I think, to me personally, we've all watched football for a long time. I've played it. I've coached it. I think football in general, scheduling cupcake games like Citadel before rivalry week, I think is absolute bullshit, and I think it should be penalized. Now, I'm not delusional enough to say that Alabama should be kept out or by any stretch, but let's say you have a team that's 5th or 6th, and they don't schedule a bullshit game, and they play a top-ranked team like Oklahoma or Washington State or any of these other teams that are, if they were closer to being on the bubble and they play a big game, where if, let's, for some reason, Alabama was 3rd or 4th, and then they play Citadel, yeah, I think they should bump down a spot. Now, with that being said, Alabama is obviously where they are, but strength of schedule should come into play more than what it does, and I think it should be rewarded more than what it does. And it doesn't, and it's sad, and I think it's an embarrassment to the sport, and it should be an embarrassment to the committee for scheduling those type of games.
I think my big issue with it is essentially it's like another bye week for a team like Alabama, right? Alabama had their bye week whenever they had it this season, and now you're going to go schedule Citadel. And yeah, Citadel hung tough for a half, but by the time the third quarter started, they were getting blown out of the water because Alabama figured out how to score touchdowns again. I think my big
we all knew what was going to happen. You're right.
For sure. My big issue was you're basically giving your starters a week off. Like, hey, guys, rest up. Don't put your body through it. And what that does is it forces you, and especially, and this is the thing, all right? So the victors goes the spoils, right? Alabama does a great job recruiting, does an exceptional job recruiting. They kill it every single year. So their second-tier guys are a lot of other teams' first-tier guys. It's just kind of the way it is. So they're a deep team as it is, so they can bench their first string guys, roll their second string out there, and they're still going to hang 50 on you. I understand it. I get it. But it allows a team like that to not have to keep the foot on the gas, and it allows a team like that to basically take some of their guys and rest them for, like you said, for rivalry week, or for what's coming up with another championship game here when they're going to probably take on Georgia. And if Georgia pops them, we all of a sudden we've got chaos in the college football playoff, and now we've got to look at, hey, is Alabama going to go in over Michigan? Because if Georgia beats Alabama, I think they're either your number 1 or your number 2 seed. Notre Dame's probably going to stay at 3. Clemson will probably hang out at 2. So now the committee's going to put a 1-loss Alabama team in over a 1-loss Michigan team every day of the week. And if you don't think so, you're just stupid. So it causes chaos, which a lot of people love. Us as Michigan fans, I think, are terrified by it. This brings me to a question for you, Putty. Teams like Notre Dame, not in a conference, should they be allowed in the college football playoff? Because the committee has set this college football playoff up to reward teams that are in conferences, that have to go to a conference championship. I mean, if you look at what's happened with the Pac-12 forever, they tend to get left out sometimes because they don't have a conference championship. And in this case, Notre Dame is just kind of rogue. Notre Dame just does its own thing, plays whoever they want, schedules whoever they want. I mean, shit, they play like 8 ACC games. There's like a good team in the ACC, and it's Clemson. Like, what are we talking about? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I agree. And to your point, Notre Dame is a special case. I'm not taking anything away from what they did this year, nothing at all. But that being said as well, they belong to a conference in every sport but football because of the money they get from NBC, and because let's face it, they're arrogant assholes. That's what they are. They're Notre Dame. It's been established that's what they are. But yes, get in a conference. I think they've officially or unofficially been invited to the Big Ten twice, and both times they've turned them down. Well, guess what? They shouldn't be. They should be an at-large bid at best. And when the playoffs expand, and I think we all can agree that that's going to happen, but you don't win a conference championship game and you don't have a conference championship game, then, yeah, be penalized because you want to be an independent. That's the price you're going to pay. And the Big 12 is a prime example. They were forced to add a championship game. I think they were the last major conference to add one, weren't they, a couple years ago?
Yes.
But now you have that game on a resume, and absolutely Notre Dame should be punished by not playing a championship game. And I think if you disagree with that, you're an idiot, and you just don't appreciate football for what it is.
Okay. Game time, what are you expecting from Michigan? Because everybody is talking about the weaknesses of Ohio State, their defense. They feel like the matchup favors Michigan's defense. They feel like, you know what, Karan Higdon, that offensive line, should be able to do some things, control the game. I see it going the way Michigan has played the entire year. They're going to pound the rock. They're going to, rely on safe passes, move the ball, and then take chances when they can. But I just see more of the same, but it being successful. I don't think Ohio State can stop Karan Higdon, Chris Evans, and I think Shea Patterson, if a play breaks down, will be a major factor himself. He could get 50 yards rushing or more. I see more of the same, and I think Michigan has a strong chance to handle their business offensively, make a couple plays on defense, and you walk away from Columbus with a victory.
Honestly, John, I think you nailed it, because if you look at the way this team is built all year since that loss in South Bend, there's a lot of stuff brewing, and it's not just because this team has gotten better. I just think that, Adam can probably attest to this more. Being at that Penn State game, there is just an overall buzz and just a hunger to beat the living shit out of this team in Columbus. And I think it's going to happen. And they've gotten better every single week. And look what Ohio State's done this year. They've shit the bed all year and gotten lucky in a few games, besides Purdue, who just absolutely Zach Smith them on national TV and just totally abuse them. The only concern that I really have is like the passing game, that Haskins is good, but he can't run. I mean, Jesus, he's slower than Nia Jax walking through pudding. I mean, it's just he's not a threat to run the ball whatsoever, but he's a damn good passer in that 15 to 20 yard range. I mean, they've made some big plays this year, so Michigan secondary's really got to step it up.
Okay, hold on,
and let's face it.
Real quick, a couple things. I like how Zach Smith has been used as an adjective, and I like the reference to Nia Jax
and a verb.
pudding.
And a verb.
I love it. Continue. I'm sorry.
And then the last thing, I mean, you guys had Karan Higdon in studio, right?
Yes.
He's going to have that DSP mojo going, and I think he's going to run for 150 to 200 yards on Ohio State. I think Higdon is going to have a huge week, and there's nothing Ohio State's defense is going to be able to do about it.
Now, here's the thing. I totally agree with you. I think the key to the game is the run game for Michigan. The way Ohio State plays defense and the way their run fits are is absolutely atrocious. I don't know if it's a coaching issue. I don't know if it's Urban Meyer. I don't know if it's a player issue. But these guys leave massive gaps on the opposite line, and running backs just find them. I mean, if you watch the Maryland game last week, they had a running back, I think it was McFarland, had almost 300 yards. He rushed for 298 yards. The guy at one point was averaging 16 yards a carry. What does that tell you about this run defense? It's garbage, absolute garbage. And this is why I don't fear Ohio State. I don't care that they just spent the last decade whipping our ass. I'm not worried about it. It doesn't terrify me. This team does not scare me. I think Urban Meyer's checked out. I think that defense is in shambles after Nick Bosa left. I think once he waved the white flag, I think everybody on that defense kind of looked at each other and they were like, well, shit, if he's not going to participate, why do we have to participate? And they all have a foot out the door and they're looking somewhere else. I think Ryan Day is going to be your next coach at Ohio State. I think these guys play better for Ryan Day than they do for Urban Meyer. If I've got to see Urban Meyer on the sideline having a baby heart attack one more time, I might punch myself in the dick. I think Michigan runs the ball down their throat. And I think having the ability with a guy like Tariq Black, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, and having Shea Patterson, who actually has an arm. You have a quarterback who can throw the damn football. You didn't have that last year. You can take the top off this defense. I'm not scared of their secondary at all. Exactly.
No,
the biggest surprise, hold up, the last thing I think is super important, don't count out Tariq Black. I think they've babied his steps his way into this for this game, and I think they turn him loose on Saturday.
Yep, I 100% right there. I'm in lockstep.
Did you have any concern when you watched the Indiana game? Because they used a lot of crossing routes to get yards. They kind of moved the ball a little bit on Michigan's defense. I feel like throughout the year, there's been some film exposed in terms of ways to move the football. Are you concerned at all with what Dwayne Haskins and that group of receivers can do to potentially move the ball? Maybe you have to get into a shootout and win the game if you're Ohio State 35-30.
The one thing I will say, Dwayne Haskins is the best quarterback in the Big Ten. Dwayne Haskins is exceptional. He's an awesome player. He does not run like Putty said, right? He's not the most mobile quarterback, but he is exceptional. He's cerebral. The guy can throw the football basically through a Cheerio. That's how accurate he is and how good he is. So you must respect what Dwayne Haskins does, all right? All that being said, you're right. There's some film out there that may have exposed some weak links in Michigan's defense. All that being said, you got the best defensive coordinator in all the land in Don Brown. I don't think Don Brown gets beat by the same play twice. I think Don Brown has these guys ready to go. I think Chase Winovich plays. Bush does an incredible job. I think the entire defense, I think, puts pressure on that pocket, collapses it around Haskins, and I think that they just do amazing things. I think Michigan wins this game.
Yeah, honestly, to answer your question, John, I was not concerned about Indiana at all because two things. One, they always play these games tough. It doesn't matter who they play or whether it's Ohio State, Michigan State, or whoever. They always play those games tough. They just can never get around the corner, which makes no sense, mostly because I think their coach is a flaming idiot. But the second thing is these Michigan players are human. They know what's going on. They know what's at stake, and Rashawn Gary even admitted it. Yes, they are looking forward to Ohio State, and I think that may have got away a little bit. But I'm not worried at all, and I just expect total carnage in Columbus on Saturday.
Oh, total carnage. So if there was something that would concern you, whether it be, do you think it's the slow starts that Michigan tends to have, Harbaugh in big games, the play calling? Do you see that everything comes together for Michigan and some of these mistakes are eliminated? Because if Michigan starts slow, I feel a little bit nervous that, let's say, for example, Ohio State gets out to a 10-0 lead. If Ohio State gets out to a lead and they're forcing you to handle and play their game, there might be a long day for Michigan fans. I don't think it's just going to be as easy as some people think. I know people want some blowouts and things like that. I think it could come down to the final possession, and it could come down to Michigan having the ball late, down 3. If that's the scenario, Michigan's down late, down 3, get the ball with 2 minutes left, are you feeling okay? Shea Patterson can bring you guys back in a comeback?
I think if it's that close and it comes down to a last possession, I think we're all going to be in a pretty good moody at the end of the game because this kid's on fire. 6 for 6, and he's not rattled at all. So, I mean, I'm not worried about the kicking game or finals. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. And the reason why is because it's been that way all year, defense. The defense is going to set the tone early. They're going to win this game, and you're right. They can't let them out to a lead early because you don't want to play from behind in that shit stain of a city, in that stadium. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think Michigan's going to win. I think they're going to handle their shit. Defense is going to take care of it, and I think they win 32-14.
You know what? I see something similar. I see this game being much like the Michigan State game, where it's going to be close for a couple quarters. The score is not going to tell the whole story of what the game actually was, and I think in the end Michigan will pull away. And again, I think the score will be much closer than what the game actually dictates.
All right, guys.
I think the second half is where they pull away. I agree, Adam.
Second half, they pull away. I can't wait to tweet you guys during the game. Saturday can't get here fast enough, Putty.
And look, if they lose, I'll be sad, and I will probably cry.
There will be videos. There will be some interesting stuff, some content. Look, no matter what, win, there'll be good content. Lose, there'll be content. All you got to do is follow Detroit Podcast. Follow Mike Putnam, a great contributor to the Detroit Sports Podcast. Thanks for dialing us up. I hope it works out for you guys. I think you guys have, you guys are deserving for a little bit of success. Any chance if they do win, you make a trip to Indy?
Probably zero chance because all of my vacation time's tied up in my son and our trips to Fort Benning to see him graduate tomorrow and then again in December. So there's no chance barring a lotto win. And if that's the case, I'm taking all of us.
Oh, shit.
You guys included.
Yeah, baby. And then you look at it, too, though. You beat Ohio State. Let's say that happens. You still got to win that Big Ten title, I think, to get to the playoff. I don't think it's a lock. You got to win it.
You have to get by Northwestern.
It's not a lock, but there's no chance anybody gets in their way. And they beat Ohio State and then just bring on Alabama.
Bring on Alabama.
You want to beat the best, you got to beat the best.
Oh, man, that would be a great breakdown. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks for all your support. We look forward to talking, and it'll be a fun Saturday. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Oh, man. It's exciting. I can't wait for it to come down.
It's going to be awesome. It's going to be a good game.
It's going to be a good game. So, final thoughts. What are the keys in your mind? 1, 2, 3 things that they have to do to ensure they leave Columbus and that quote-unquote shit stain of a city per Putnam with a W.
Oh, he's such a fan. It's funny.
Great stuff.
Running the ball is going to be key for Michigan, especially with their offense. They're going to have to run to set up the pass. So in order to score points, Cron Higdon's going to have a huge day. Perry's going to have a big day as well. Like you said, there were some things that were exposed with Indiana, with crossing patterns, kind of mixing up the guys on the defense. Defense is going to have to they're going to have to play their role. You're going to have to mind your gap. You're going to have to play your position, play your zone. You're going to have to put pressure on Haskins. Haskins, if you guys haven't watched an Ohio State game, Haskins is unreal. Like, he's crazy. And I say this, and I love everything Shea Patterson has brought to this Michigan program. Haskins would be the best quarterback if he played for Michigan. Like, it'd be hands down. He would fit everything that Jim Harbaugh wants to do. Like, everything. It's absolutely banana boats. He's so good. He's going to make such an impact at the next level. He's going to go to the NFL. He's going to get drafted, and he's going to be awesome. So you're going to have to collapse that pocket around Haskins. You're going to have to put a lot of pressure on him, force him to turn the ball over, and that's where my third point comes. You have to win the turnover battle.
Win it, baby.
If you're Michigan, you can't spill the pill. You're going to have to force a couple takeaways from Ohio State.
And, man, real quick, Indiana came to play. They came to fuck around, man. They didn't. They came to punch, hit, cheat. It was
kick balls out of refs' hands.
It was. I was like, damn,
nuts.
Indiana.
I don't understand.
I expect that from the State Michigan game, not from Indiana. They play tough, but with some sportsmanship.
When did this become such a heated rivalry? Like, what happened here?
Yeah, Indiana came to they came to ball out and cheat a little bit, and it was like repeated too, like stomping, and they came to be a little aggressive.
Can you pot up Vito since he's still here? I like how I just kind of keep bringing Vito in. Vito, what are your keys to the game? You follow this team. You cover them regularly. You are in the room all the time. So what are the keys to the game?
I think if Karan Higdon rushes for 100 yards, Michigan wins. How about that? As simple as that.
Simple as that?
I think Karan Higdon, he's a nice guy, deserves nice things like beating Ohio State for the first time right in his career at Michigan. So he rushes for 100 yards, and we're all happy. Well, the two of us, you and I, Adam. Obviously, John wouldn't be too happy at all.
Not at all.
But he would have to deal with it. Michigan's great season. And then at that point, though, before we get carried away, well, it's if you beat Ohio State. But then after that, if you can actually beat Northwestern again.
Mm-hmm.
Beating a team twice in the same season is going to be difficult, even though it's only Northwestern, lowly Northwestern. Nobody is afraid of Northwestern. But remember, it was 17-0 Northwestern in the first half of that game at Northwestern against Michigan.
Now, real quick, isn't it interesting that we discovered this week that Vito's comes from the lineage of a Valenti? So I said to him, use it professionally. What do you think? Because I'm like, Vito,
did we discover this? Is this an actual
We just discovered it. Actually,
it?
Did happen. It's realistic, legit. It's not it's not on my birth certificate because it's my mom's maiden name. But it's her maiden name.
Oh,
She's
really?
a Valenti, actually, by blood.
So he changed his Twitter to Vito, #Valenti, Churko.
Parentheses
but I think
around.
he should just look. In the end, you got to do what you got to do. I think he's just cut off his last name and take a professional name, Vito Valenti. And the way this shook out, too, it was so funny, too, because I'm like, damn.
But Churko's a good name, though.
Yeah,
it is a strong
hardcore,
name.
authentic Italian. Come on, Vito. Just having Vito. Just go by Vito. Vito. I don't even need the last name. Forget the last name. Forget all the middle name. Forget the last name. Or Vito Jerome. Still, as I've been on Twitter, I've called myself Vito Jerome, and then people think my last name is Jerome, by the way, too, which is hilarious. Which is why I've done it, by the way.
Vito Jerome. The way it came about was Mike Valenti finally launched a podcast. Great success to him. And I'm like, okay, thank goodness he's airing it on Wednesdays. And I'm like, okay, that means it's Vito versus Mike Valenti. And so then Vito comes back with, did you know by chance that I'm a Valenti? And I'm like, what? And I'm like,
so are you any relation to him or no?
I don't even know.
He hasn't even started
Maybe
the process
somewhere down the line. There was this kid at Brother Rice, a quarterback, Mariano Valenti. I know they were kidding Mike Valenti around about him when he was there starring at Brother Rice.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm related to him, Mike Valenti. I just know the Valentis that I'm related to my mom. I know that's my mom.
Yeah.
She's a Valenti.
Does she have family in New York or what?
No, and there we go. He's from New York, so there's no relation.
No relation.
I mean, we're Italian, like he is.
I mean, maybe you guys came
people
from the
can bond
same
over
village.
that.
Stepbrothers.
Maybe.
Yeah. You might be stepbrothers.
Well, from Sicily. He would have to be from Sicily, too. Maybe he is Sicilian. I don't know if he has that in his blood.
If you look at the side-by-side photo,
we both have dark hair. Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
How many Italians have dark hair?
No.
Might be an Italian that has blonde hair. There are some, obviously, but there's not many.
Dark hair is an Italian
dark
nose.
Italian. Come on.
Okay, cool.
Come on.
Cool,
What does that
right.
mean? Nothing.
I
Come
think
on.
maybe
What is that?
There's a chance Mike's mom stepped out on his dad and maybe did something. did something.
He just wants us to be related so bad so we can get in with those ticket guys. That's what he wants to happen. I love Mike Valenti. I told you, I have mad respect for him. He's the best in the game locally, and he's somewhere in like the top 10 at least, right? Nationally,
dude,
probably, too.
He's the reason I wanted to get in this business.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a chance you guys are related and you're not pursuing it because maybe...
Well, you pursue it in your free time. You don't have much free time. I know I have more, but you can. I know you really want to find it out.
He's going to have you do a 21andMe. Watch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, what could happen with this guy?
No, because I think it'd be such a great small world that Vito's actually related to Mike Valenti, and then he's like, look, you hit him up and be like, look, help your cousin out.
Yeah, help your cousin out. That's what John's looking for. Get him on the network. We'll talk to him.
He's Italian. He's not Arabic. It's not how this works. Arabic culture, everybody's a cousin. Everybody's helping helping everybody.
Everybody really is related there. Yeah. And
okay.
Italian culture, not as much. Not as much of it.
Italian culture. Okay, I'll slip him a couple hundred and he'll help us out.
Oh, that'll be my cousin. Oh, there we go. I'll admit that.
why's it gotta be like that?
Yeah.
That's how I heard it goes down in the Italian culture.
Yeah, probably in the Arabic culture. Anyways.
Vito Valenti. I think it's good too, but I think the way he did it was better. I said, okay, let's compromise. So now on Twitter, it's Vito Valenti Churko.
I like how you have control over
Yeah,
parts
he
of
pretty
his
much
Twitter.
has.
Why do you let him?
I let it slide. Let him do it.
You need to put your foot down.
I thought it was funny. I'll probably get rid of it, by the way, before 2019 hits. I think I will be getting rid of it because I don't know if it's funny enough. Good for a week or two, a month.
No, I think it's great.
It hasn't been a
because
month yet.
I think it's great. I'm going to refer to you as Vito Valenti Churko every time I tweet you. No problem. It's great.
How about my middle name? My lovely middle name. That's my dad's name, by the way, Jerome.
Vito. I think that Vito Valenti Jerome Churko. Why
Now,
not?
how many small white Italian men are named Jerome anymore, by the way, too? That's why I love that middle name of having it, be Jerome. That's my dad's actual first name, who goes by Jerry. But I think Jerome now is not a name
it's a great name,
you would
though.
think is my middle name.
It is a great name.
It is.
Jerome's a great name.
Vito Geronimo. I like to say Geronimo when I introduce myself on Tiger Saw, Two Bad Hombres, but I think it's funny and cool. But anyway, back to you, Doc. Are you the co-host of the show? Back to you. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, we'll see. I'm just trying to.
I love this, dude.
I'm trying to help you professionally.
He puts you on edge, and it's great.
I know.
It is
I
great.
did a little bit here.
It is great, dude.
No, he's
intentional, not intentional.
You sit there and you squirm when he's in this chair.
I don't know what he's gonna say. I don't know what he's gonna say.
It's amazing.
Could be professional. It could not.
That's true. That's true.
It's amazing, dude. You do things to him that I've never been able to do.
All right.
Good and bad. Probably a lot of bad. But.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. This has been Doc and Jock. Thank you.
With a special guest of Vito.
For
Thank
Vito
you for
and
a couple
Mikey.
of minutes of cameo work here.
And Mikey Putty there.
It was great. Happy Thanksgiving. Go Lions, go Blue. Let's see what happens. And Mark D'Antonio, please stop begging for sales.
Oh, my God.
Not a good look. Not a good look.
Dave Brandon-esque.
We don't have enough time for me to talk about this. I was thinking about writing a blog post about it.
Just a bad look.
Jesus Christ.
Definitely tune in to Adam's show, WDFN Tailgate, 11:30 a.m. WDFN, the original sports radio program in the town. So good stuff there. You said 11 to 12
today. I was trying to do a 3-hour extravaganza.
He's trying to work. But the man shut him down.
My boss said no.
Shut him down.
I don't think he knows what the hell he's doing. I don't know if he knows what talent I don't know if I have any talent. Anyways, I wanted to do a 3-hour extravaganza. It got cut down to 1 hour, so I got an hour for us guys. Tune in, listen, download the iHeartRadio app, search for 1130 WDFN. We'll be on there 11 to 12, and then come back around on Sunday. Sunday, we get to rehash it all, and we might have a special guest. Word is, she's kind of hot. Just going to put it out there.
There we go.
We're gonna put it out there. All right? She's kind of hot. She might be in studio.
All right, very good.
See what happens.
Happy Turkey Day. Gobble, gobble for me. Didn't expect that to come out.
Yeah, gobble, gobble.
Motherfucker.
That's right.
There we go.
There it is.
Nice.
Thanks, John. I just hope I don't fuck this up.
This was locker room talk.
Second dick.
Sorry, Detroit. Didn't quite work out.
And all I can say is Detroit Sports Podcast scores.
I hear voices in my head. They counsel me. They understand. They talk to me. They talk to me.